Hello and welcome to another edition of the Andrew Eborn Show. And I am delighted to go straight live to Lisbon, where my very good friend Tammy Weis is. How are you, Tammy?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
I am doing so amazingly well. And I'll tell you what, the last time I saw you was actually on Canada Day.
Yes. Ah, you saw that. That was a great day, wasn't it?
We loved it. But I have known you ever since many Canada Days, years and years and years ago,
Yeah,
when you sang live in Trafalgar Square to an audience of zillions.
that was amazing. I
It
love that day, It was what a special day that was.
I love it. And this year it was a bit different because you had to do it on Zoom.
Yes, we were doing it on Zoom, so I had no idea how many people were watching, but it was a little different, definitely.
But I still gave a standing ovation in my pajamas, and I thought that was fantastic. What a joy! So you're now in Lisbon.
I'm in Lisbon. I'm working on a new album right now, so we're just finishing that off. So I'm here. We're just waiting for all of that to be finished.
Amazing. But you were originally born. You're originally from North Alberta.
Yes, Northern Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta, actually, was where I was born. Yeah,
I
in
love
Canada.
I love Canada, and we met. It was around Canada Day, I think in
Mhm,
2011 when we did all that sort of stuff, and we did a lot of things with the UK Canada Chamber of Commerce. And I
mhm.
remember that they booked you, and whilst I was filming and interviewing exciting people as well as yourself, you were there and you sang your lungs out on every possible occasion.
I try. Hey,
Which was good. And they always get you to every event. You always finish with the Canadian national anthem. You either start or you finish, and sometimes a bit of both.
Mhm. Do you know all the words by now?
Oh, every single one. I especially know the humming chorus. Which is,
Perfect.
so tell me about, I mean, your original journey, because also your father or your great grandfather, he used to play the banjo, didn't he?
He did. He played the banjo. My great grandmother sang and played the piano. My grandmother sang. My mother sang. Yeah, so I think we figured out it's at least fifth generation musician.
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. And did you get a chance to meet? Because sometimes they do this with generations. Sometimes you can meet your great grandfather. Was he alive when you were little? And
He was, and it was
oh,
great because
fantastic!
he would play. No, I was really lucky because I think I was in my late my teens when they passed, and we would have wonderful times in a small little farming town called Killam, Alberta.
Oh,
Yes, that's
so
right,
what?
Killam, Alberta. They had a big sign when you drove into the town. It said, "Drive carefully, avoid accidents, Killam."
Oh, they're so sad. And there is that
About this
wonderful sense
in
of
a
humor. It is glorious.
and then it was like, "Yay, we're at grandma's house, kill him."
Oh, fantastic. It sounds well. But I mean, your great grandparents, I mean, how old were they when they passed?
In their 90s, yeah. So my great grandfather played the banjo and the fiddle. So we had many wonderful Christmases of singing and harmonies and piano and double bass and the banjo, the fiddle. It was absolutely wonderful. I have such wonderful memories of those times, actually. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. And was he also a composer like yourself? Was he a songwriter?
You know what? It's funny. I think I was too young to sort of know that. I don't think he, from what I understand, I don't know if he really composed, but my mom composed, and
Okay.
I think my grandma did a bit of composition, but I would have to assume he did. But
So,
yeah.
but so music in your blood, I'm working on that sort of basis. There's something wonderful about that fantastic legacy. And in fact,
Hmm.
that's what you called, because your mother, whilst your great grandparents lived to a ripe old age, your mother passed quite young, didn't she?
Yeah, my mom was 44, so she died very suddenly. She had heart disease, but so my first album was called Legacy in her memory, in her honor. So yeah.
And did she hear some of the tracks before she passed? And you were obviously working on them.
No, you know what? But what the greatest thing was what I did. We had one track, "Let It Be Me" by the Everly Brothers, and my
Right.
mom used to sing that. So I actually had a home recording of her. So her dream was always to be on the radio. So it was such an honor to. We had her introducing the song,
Right.
with the home recording, and then my band, we went live with the band. So when I was doing a lot of stuff nationally, so CBC radio, and it was just amazing to she had her dream of being heard on the radio, and
And
it was
isn't that
wonderful.
wonderful? I lost my mother on July the 11th this year.
I'm so sorry, darling.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, it's very tricky. I mean, no, at whatever age, you'll never, even though you've got many years to say goodbye and to say you love them, it's always tricky, isn't it? And you form that
it's
special
yeah.
bond, and you try and do everything. And whilst my grandmother was very musical, and we love that sort of stuff. My mother used to love. It's a small thing, but she used to love pavlovas, which are basically the dancer. But she would have a meringue. It's a wonderful dessert which is made of meringue and strawberries and cream. And so I learned during furlough, I used to do lots of these interviews, and we managed to get some five-star chefs who would
Oh
teach
wow.
everybody from the top Michelin star restaurants. So I got one of them who hated meringue, it doesn't matter, but I got him, a guy called Chris Dodd, who works at a five-star restaurant. I got him to teach me how to make a pavlova live on air. And then I took that home to my mother in the last few weeks, and I managed to make the wish come true.
Oh, how wonderful. Oh, I'm sure she was overjoyed.
I'm sure, I'm sure it was a nice thing to do, but in the same way as singing that song or getting your mother to introduce it on the radio, it is. You want to do those things, don't you?
Yes, I mean, like I said, unfortunately, she didn't live to sort of see it, but her wish was fulfilled regardless, right? So she
Oh,
was
absolutely.
able to, you know,
And I bet she was really proud of you anyway. You know, it's
I
you work on
think,
that sort of.
yeah, no, I think so. And like I said, it's just, calling the album Legacy and doing all of that in her honor. And with that particular album, I went in and chose songs from her songbook. So she was a country singer,
Okay.
but I redid them jazz.
Oh, right.
So I literally went through and did the songs in a jazzy way. And so, that was great to be able to do that for her. And it
And
was a good start
I
for me.
love that when you can take some songs and sung in a particular way and just mix it up a bit. It's a really classic
Yeah.
way of doing it. So I have a business, as you know, with R.J. Gibb, who's the son of
Hmm.
Robin Gibb from the Bee Gees. And he's a fantastic singer-songwriter in his own right. But also, and coincidentally, we have something called the Bee Gees Legacy. I mean, legacy is a big thing when you have that whole family rich history of performers. And he's singing songs not just of his own composition, but from his father, Robin Gibb, and also covering
Wow.
from his uncles from the Bee Gees. And we're basically forming, when you can, having a big tour around that sort of stuff. And we planned lots of things for this year, but something got in the way. I think it was probably the same with you, wasn't it?
Yes, well, because I'm doing this new album of it's a very famous poet, Portuguese poet called Fernando Pessoa,
Yeah.
and I've been working on this album for a bit now, and have a wonderful producer here, Rui Veloso, who's does very very well, one of the best musicians in this country, and beautiful songwriter, very very lucky, beautiful singer, and they call him the Portuguese Godfather of rock.
The Portuguese
Um,
godfather of rock. That's absolutely wonderful.
but and he's done some amazing things. I wrote some music to the poems, and so yeah, that was on the list to get all of that out this year, and of course that's had to take a back seat now. So I'm not quite sure. You have to be innovative and look at new ways of doing things, and yeah, just remain positive. And yeah,
No,
I'm
I
doing a
think
lot of
that's right. And
songwriting as well. So
I actually find it's been an amazingly creative side. As you know, we've had all sorts of rich and famous and glorious major artists, as well as yourself, on the show. And they've been talking about it's quite frustrating as an art. If you're a performer, as you are as well, it's quite frustrating in lockdown. We can do these Zoom things, and you can connect in a different way. But when you're used to performing in front of a live audience of whatever size, Trafalgar Square, thousands of people there, it's very, very different and really quite tough, isn't it?
yeah, I think because I sort of refer to it as the caged bird scenario, and with us it's an exchange of energy as well with the audience and with people to really connect, and even by singing your songs, there's a lot of had one particular song that I did when I did Ronnie Scott's with my last album, and it was written about my mom. And it was like being able to perform that live and have people in the audience actually that hadn't grieved the loss of her mom in over 6 months, and connecting with that song and that energy, and actually being into tears, and being able to have that connection with me afterwards to share the story and share. So it's much more than just the musical element of it. It's stories, it's energies, it's connecting. And I think, you know, everybody needs to do that, but musicians in particular, I mean, that's what we're all about. And
Absolutely. And
that's the big challenge.
your music, absolutely, it's things that people have yet to experience it. They're missing a treat, and they must look out for Tammy Weis, because your music, you connect. You're telling, you bear your soul, if you like. In the same way as you talked about that first album being legacy, you're talking about your personal experiences, and we all can live through those moments when you hear the songs. And it's not surprising when you have a live audience, especially something like a fantastic venue like Ronnie Scott's, where you can get up close and personal, and the people can share those experiences with you. It's very, very powerful, isn't it?
It's, you know, it's really important. And I think that you know, you also build lifelong fans as well. I mean, people don't forget, you know, because in that one particular situation, the woman's cousin had come up to me first and said,
Right.
thank you so much, and gave me the biggest hug, which we can't do now, and just said, thank you so much, because I've been trying to get her to grieve and she hasn't grieved. And when you were singing that song about your mom and you were explaining the story, I turned over, and for the first time I saw her cry.
Yeah.
And then she came up, and oh my Lord, then we were in floods of tears. And but it's those moments are so important, you know, because that's
It
why we
is.
do what we do, is to have those connections and have those moments with people, and that makes it hard.
Oh no, I understand. But the, on a positive front, the great thing
Yes.
about this is
Right.
we have an audience around the world now, where you can, through the power, it feels as though it's one-to-one. It feels as though we're just chatting in a cozy sort of way.
Yes.
But actually, you can have an audience of zillions. And I had I've had all sorts of people. We had Harvey Goldsmith on the show fairly recently, talking about
Wow.
those major concerts and how difficult it is to get those back. And the live industry in particular, it's very, very tough, because it's not just the big artists there. It's the knock-on effect for the stage crew, for the sound
Mm-hmm.
technicians. It's a massive industry, and trying to pull those together and work out how that's going to work is very, very tricky. And at the moment, we're doing lots of theatres are trying to come back desperately. And with social distancing, it means you're about a third full. So it does make
Mm.
it very, very tricky. And Andrew Lloyd Webber was talking about that sort of side. And we just had, just by us, by Regent's Park, they've just opened
Mm.
with the Jesus Christ Superstar, which is fantastic. It's an open
Oh,
air.
wow. Oh, how wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
That's great.
So things are coming back, but it's basically they're only allowed a third capacity. But they're
Mm.
trying desperately to encourage people to come back, which I think is really, really important. So in
It is
terms
really important. Yeah, it really is.
so in terms of your side, in terms of the album coming out, I mean, you're going to do these poems. Are you gradually getting there? You're going to be able to finish it in the next few months, do you think?
I'm hoping that we should be able to release something in a few months. Yeah, the album is pretty much ready. We're just finishing the master. I'm working on the graphics, and it's been great, because you know, Fernando Pessoa is everybody needs to hear his poetry. It's incredible. It's just really touched my heart, and I've had the privilege of meeting his family,
Right.
and having the support of them and the Canadian government here. So it's a real cultural thing. So it's great. So I'm really looking forward to it. We're just looking at different strategies now to release.
And how did you first get introduced to the poems?
Well, you know, it was a really interesting story, because I was in Lisbon. I was staying at a friend's house in Alfama, in an apartment. It was supposed to have Wi-Fi. It didn't. So I took a nap. I woke up and still no Wi-Fi. So I went for a walk, and literally 20 minutes later, I went to an art gallery that said, we do paintings with red wine and coffee. And I went, that's my kind of place. So, so I went in, and literally there was a resident painter there who's Mongolian Russian. There was someone working behind the counter. I saw a guitar. I said, oh, you play? Yes. 20 minutes after I woke up, we're doing jazz standards. People are gathering around. It was extraordinary. And then all of a sudden, the painter says to the guitar player in Russian, tell her she must do songs of Fernando Pessoa, write music to Fernando Pessoa. And that's when her career, that will be very good for her. And I said, who's Fernando Pessoa? And he said, look around. And the whole gallery was full of paintings of Fernando Pessoa. And that's how it began.
And isn't that glorious?
Extraordinary.
That's a glorious moment. And I think on that sort of basis. And talking of glorious, your backdrop. I know we just suddenly said, we've got to hook up at some stage. And I just literally said, are you free now? Tammy said, are we doing it now? And so
I didn't even know it was
surprised.
happening. So, but this is my backdrop. Isn't that
I love
fantastic?
it. So tell me about it. What is it? Where are you?
So I'm in Lisbon. I'm in Chiado.
Chiado.
So right in the center, and you can see there's the bridge, and there's I call it the Christ statue, and the river behind me. So you can't really see. There's not a lot of action in the river right now, but it's my patio garden. I feel very, very blessed to be here, and it's a joy waking up to that every day. Yes, it's a lot of inspiration.
It's fun. And I love Lisbon. I went to the Portuguese Grand Prix. We did that sort of stuff with Ayrton Senna many moons ago.
Mm.
I shared a lobster with him in Lisbon.
Ooh,
So
oh, well done, you.
that's another story, which is always.
Yeah.
But Tammy, it's such a delight. I'm so glad that we could hook up very, very quickly. Do keep me posted. I would love to hear how the album goes. If people want to find out, they can go along to your website.
Yeah, so tammywise.com. Yeah,
Very good. They should do that.
www.tammywise.com.
It's going to be an absolute delight. But thank you so much for joining me, and we'll catch up soon.
Oh, so great to see you. Yes, thank you for having me.
A real pleasure. Take care, Tammy.
Take care, darling. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So there we have it, the wonderful Tammy Weis, all the way over in Lisbon, and fantastic, talented artist, originally from Canada, moved all over the place, and what a story, and what a voice. Do go and check her out. In the meantime, if you'd like to be a guest on the Andrew Eborn Show, write to me at guests@octopustv.com. If you have any comments, put them in the comments section below. It's always great to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe. You can follow, share, do whatever you like. It's lovely to be in touch. In the meantime, I've been Andrew Eborn. It's been a pleasure having you with me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.